Over the course of the past 3 weeks, the US has had 9 of its 10 deadliest days in US history from COVID deaths caused by COVID-19. All right. So, but we've had 9 out of 10 of the deadliest days in all of US history in the past 3 weeks. All right. Just in the past 3 weeks. All right. 9 out of 10. All right. Bumping deaths from 9/11 and the Civil War off of the top 10 list. All right. So the only deadlier day in US history was on September 8th, 1900. There was a hurricane in Galveston, Texas that killed 8,000 people in a single day. All right. So on September 8th, 1900. All right. That's we're talking about, over 100 and 120 years ago. We had the deadliest day in US history. 8,000 people died. The next 9 deadliest days in US history have happened in the past 3 weeks. All right. In the past 3 weeks. So before this, the second deadliest day in US history was on September 17th, 1862. That was the Civil War Battle of Antietam. And in that Civil War battle, which lasted an entire day, there were sort of 3 phases of the battle: the morning, the afternoon, the evening phases of the battle. 3,650 lives were lost, all right, during the Battle of Antietam. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, all right? And if you want to look it up, it's Antietam, all right? And that was the deadliest day of the bloodiest war in US history, the Civil War, and 3,650 people died that day, all right? So September 8th, 1900, then September 17th, we had the second deadliest day in September 17th, 1862. The third deadliest day before was September 11th. So lots of September. September is historically, apparently, a very, tragic month in U.S. history. But January, my month, just took the cake for it, right? So now, and that was 2,977 people died in 9/11, in the 9/11 attacks, from the buildings that were attacked on 9/11. 2,977 people died that day, okay, including some first responders. Since December 30th, all right? So remember, 3,650 people died, deadliest day of the Civil War. Let me read you off some of the, in the past week now, we've had, in the past about 10 days, we've had 3 days where we've had more than 4,000 more than 4,000 deaths from COVID-19 in a single day. All right. So that's happened on 3 different days. All right. Since January 12th. The first time we went over 4,000 was on January 7th. We hit 4,112 deaths in a single day, right? So on September 30th, you had 3,800. On January 5th, you had 3,689. On January 6th, 3,964. January 7th, 4,112. January 8th, 3,895. January 12th, 4,406. That was the deadliest day from the coronavirus up to this day. I mean, we got very close on January 20th. But January 13th, 3,930. January 14th, 3,973. January 15th, 3,749. January 20th, 4,370. Damn near, getting back to that that's the third deadliest day in U.S. history, was January 20th. Just 3 days ago, we had the deadliest day, the third deadliest day in U.S. history. And again, it's become like commonplace. This becomes so normalized, right? That we're not talking about it. We're not acting like we are outraged by these numbers. And we should, yet again, be outraged by these numbers, right? We're going to compare to a couple other countries, and I'm going to show you why you should be absolutely infuriated by these numbers, right? Just to wrap it up, on January 21st, again, 2 days ago, we had over 4,000 deaths in a single day from COVID-19. Again, we had 4,142 deaths in a single day. And then January 22nd, just 2 days ago, we had 3,734 deaths. All right. And the problem is that over the weekends, they don't report these numbers as well. So the deaths are still happening. They're just not reporting these things. So there's a real, issue with the reporting of these numbers. So, over the weekends and Monday, you can look at I'll show you. I'll give you a quick peek at what that looks like, and so that you can see. So here, take a look here at what these COVID deaths look like. And 1 sec here. So I'm going to look at, these are the New York Times numbers, which is where Google also pulls their numbers from. So you can take a look here. Just share this with you. So you can see here that the chart on the top is the new cases per day. And the chart on the bottom is the new reported deaths per day. And as you see from this, you have, stretching back to December 30th here, where we topped over 3650. That's the battle. That's that Civil War battle. And I told you, every weekend, essentially, the deaths, they dip down, and you can see how that pattern looks on this, where they kind of go, it goes up, and then you see all those dips every week. These are these sudden dips in the reporting down to 1,000, 2,000. That's not because that's accurate reporting. It's because we just simply don't report the deaths out properly over the weekend. So, we're not even getting fully accurate numbers. But so, these numbers are absolutely absurd. I just want to show you by comparison. Let's see by comparison how another country is doing. I think that this is an interesting case because, as we know, Donald Trump has been going on and on. You got it's the Chinese virus, the China virus, or the quote, disgustingly named Kung flu, right? Like, he's tried to to associate this with China. It's the Chinese virus. They did this. The U.S. has historically done this. They called the 1918 pandemic the Spanish flu, even though it started in the middle of, in the middle of a military base in Kansas. All right. So, and traced to a farm in Kansas. So they don't call it the Kansas flu, the Kansas flu or the, American flu. They called it the Spanish flu. Why? Because Spain was reporting out accurately in their newspapers those numbers, while the U.S. was suppressing that information. All right. So let's take a look at another country, that's been getting blamed for all this. So China has been catching a lot of flack, being told that, they essentially pinning this on them, trying to, use yellow peril rhetoric of, the scary other. It's trying to shift blame outside of, the U.S. government and private U.S. corporations, right? Capitalist corporations who did not prepare for this in any way, shape, or form, right? They didn't prepare, and they weren't prepared and weren't ready to, to handle this situation in any meaningful way. And so let's take a look at the numbers out of China, okay, over the same period of time. And I'm just going to pull from, this is just what's in, available on Google, and their, I think they source it from Wikipedia, their numbers. And I know, everybody, that you're going to get a whole bunch of right wing and even liberal folks that are going to say, oh, but you can't trust China. They're not reporting out accurately. You know what? To that, I just say, one, I'll show you another example of another country. If you feel that the need to try to use that excuse, we can look at some other countries and compare those numbers, and we shall. But to that, I would say, do you seriously believe that the U.S. under Donald Trump was accurately reporting out all of the deaths, right? We know that the testing wasn't happening early on. We certainly weren't accurately reporting out all the cases and all the deaths. They believe that the first deaths from COVID-19 probably occurred as early as December in the United States. All right. And there's no reporting on that. So as you can see for China here, I'll zoom this in a little bit for you to see. And you can see what their numbers have been like. This is in February. All right. They hit their max number on February 11th, 6,900 cases in a single day, not deaths, cases. All right. So this is just the cases. This is not the deaths. All right. And you can see what happened in China. All right. After March 11th, you barely have more than 20. You don't go into triple digits on daily cases. There's one little blip. There's a little blip in April, and aside from the little blip in April, you can see they've maintained this, and they've sustained over a long period of time up until now. You're just starting to see cases go up on the rise again, and you can see this is the total deaths. All right, China has 4 times the population of the U.S. Okay, 4 times the population of the U.S. So if they had deaths at the same rate as the U.S., they would right now have 1,600,000 deaths. All right. If they kept at the same rate of death, at the same death rate as the United States, they would have, again, 1,600,000 deaths. Instead, they have 4,635. Now, let me remind you, as I mentioned earlier, on January 12th in the United States, 4,406 people died in a single day. Meanwhile, in China, over the entire course of the pandemic, 4,635 people have died. Okay. And in fact, let me correct. Nope. Okay. I was going to say this hasn't been refreshed in a few days, but still nobody's died in the past few days in China. So it's still the same. All right. 4,635. All right. So they've managed to get this virus under control. In fact, I saw pictures recently of people partying in Wuhan, no mask. They can be out, they can be in groups. They're able to live their lives again because they didn't handle this with pure greed in mind. And also, I just think that they have a culture of like mask wearing there, whereas it's a partisan issue in this country. You got half of the country that is rode with their president Donald Trump and really said like, oh no, this is all fake. They don't believe in science. It's all fake, and they're not going to wear masks. And so you got half of the country that's just unwilling to and unconcerned with the public health crisis, and so and just doesn't believes that it's a partisan issue. Believes that something as simple and basic and just decent as wearing a mask to protect other people in your community, in the society. We have a country that's more concerned about partisan politics than protecting each other. And this is what we get. And a sacrifice of human life to some, invisible thing called the economy. This is what happens. All right. We are in a country that has higher population density than the United States, 4 times the population, 400% population, only 2.2% greater land mass than the United States. And so you got more higher population density. And over the entire course of the pandemic, 4,600 people have died. I don't care about, you can try to tell me about how China is cheating the numbers and they're not really reporting out the deaths. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it anymore. I don't trust the US government any more than I trust the Chinese government. All right. All right. And I mean, you can take a look at there's other countries too that are doing great. We trust the numbers of course, we trust the numbers out of South Korea and New Zealand because those are, US friendly countries, and they've done a great job maintaining the pandemic. Vietnam they went months without a single death from coronavirus. And honestly, they've only had a handful of deaths. Vietnam has. They're a country that's about the size and population. I believe they have higher population than California, but they're about the same size, I believe, in land area. And, California has had more deaths in a single day than Vietnam has had over the entire course of the pandemic. It's literally a handful of deaths.